Christopher Nolan is a filmmaker who doesn't just tell stories, he makes you feel them. Whether it's the mind-twisting layers of Inception, the emotional weight of Interstellar, or the haunting realism of Oppenheimer, Nolan takes you deep into the mind of his characters. And now, he's taking on one of the greatest stories ever told, the Odyssey. Imagine surviving a war only to be thrown into a battle you never asked for. Your home is waiting. Your family believes you're dead. Every step you take brings you closer, yet fate keeps pulling you back. Your journey, meant to last weeks, turns into 10 years of endless suffering. Why? Because the gods don't forget, and they don't forgive. This is the true story of the Odyssey, a tale not of fantasy, but of survival, deception, and one man's desperate fight to reclaim his life. To understand the Odyssey, you need to know the man at its center, Odysseus. He wasn't the strongest warrior, nor the fastest, but he was the smartest. He was the master strategist who ended the decade-long Trojan War with one move, the Trojan horse. A trick so brilliant, it changed history. But when you outsmart the gods, you make enemies in high places, and Odysseus's true battle was just beginning. With Troy destroyed, Odysseus and his men set sail for Ithaca, a journey that should have taken weeks. But there was one problem. Odysseus had angered the wrong god, Poseidon, the god of the sea. And when a god holds a grudge, there is no escape. One by one, his men would be lost. Every time he thought he was close to home, something would drag him back into the abyss. But this wasn't just bad luck. This was punishment. Many believe the Odyssey is just a myth, filled with fantasy creatures like the Cyclops, sirens, and sea monsters. But what if these monsters were based on real dangers? The Cyclops, for example, wasn't necessarily a one-eyed giant. It could have been inspired by a deformed skull of an ancient elephant species. The sirens, likely real women, pirates who lured men in with promises of safety, only to rob and kill them. Odysseus didn't just fight monsters, he fought the unknown. One of the greatest threats to Odysseus wasn't war or storms, it was comfort. On the island of the Lotus Eaters, his men were given a strange fruit that made them forget everything. No pain, no suffering, but also no purpose. Many of them refused to leave, trapped in a dreamlike state. Odysseus had to drag them back to the ships, reminding them, "We have a home, we must return." After years lost at sea, desperation set in. They found an island where cattle roamed free, a gift from the gods it seemed. But Odysseus knew better. This was sacred land, and the gods had warned, "Touch the cattle, and you will never return home." His men, starving, didn't listen. They slaughtered the animals, and when they set sail again, a storm obliterated their ships. Odysseus survived, alone. After a decade of torment, Odysseus finally reached Ithaca. But his suffering wasn't over. His kingdom was no longer his. His palace was overrun by suitors, men who assumed he was dead and were now fighting to marry his wife Penelope. So, he did what he always did. He adapted. He disguised himself as a beggar, walked among them, listened, planned. And then, when the moment was right, he struck. In one brutal night, he took back what was his. For centuries, Odysseus has been seen as a hero, a man who defied the gods, outwitted every enemy, and endured the impossible. But was he? Some historians believe he was nothing more than a reckless leader who led his men to their deaths. Others say the Odyssey isn't about heroism, it's about the cost of ambition. Because in the end, he came home alone. Was it worth it? Nolan isn't just making another historical epic. He's known for films that make us question reality, time, and the human mind. And the Odyssey? It's the ultimate mind-bending journey. A man lost between fate and free will, between home and the unknown, between sanity and madness. So the real question is, Are you ready to take this journey with him? The blueprint for every hero's journey. It's about loss, resilience, and the battle to return home. And if there's one director who can bring this ancient legend to life in a way we've never seen before, it's Christopher Nolan. Don't forget to like and subscribe for mysteries.